Hello, Brobs. We're back with The Wandering Heir, a Christmas story by Charles Reade. I think we're on chapter 8. And since 8 is rather short, I will do it now. Let's go. Mr. Thomas Chester had retired from the law with a comfortable fortune. He was now a bit of a sportsman, rented of Sir John Dolben the right of fishing the Thames for some distance, and of shooting over a part of the manor, and paid half Sir John's gamekeeper. He was a man that respected the rights of others and stickled for his own. He did not mind a stray cockney fishing his perch, roach, and gudgeons with the hook, for that was fair sport, but he was bitter against all who poached on his water with nets, for he said they robbed not only me of my fish, but my fish of their lives. 'Tis not sport, 'tis larceny. Annesley had often heard him say this. One day Annesley came out with his gun to Reading, the gamekeeper, and they were about to go out together shooting waterfowl. This was the only sport to be had, for it was the 1st of May. As they were about to start, Reading cast his eyes round and saw one Thomas Eaglestone and his son casting a net from Sylvester's meadow. "There is that old rogue again," said he. "Let us have his net." He set off to run, and Annesley ran after him to help. Reading came up first and collared Eaglestone, but he, to save his net, threw it half into the river. Then young Eaglestone seized the cord, cut it, and jumped into the river. Annesley snatched at the net, and his gun went off. Oh no. Old Eaglestone cried, "Villain, you have slain me," and fell scorched and bleeding on the ground, and never spoke more. The boy swam away to the other bank, and the smoke of the gun drifting away revealed the man lying in the agonies of death, and Annesley and Reading so stupefied and appalled that they did not move hand or foot, but gazed with terror at each other and at their bloody work. They had just realized that the man was shot, and in the agonies of death, when young Eaglestone was heard to cry across the water, "My father, they have murdered him." Then Reading seized Annesley by the arm. "Heard you that? They will hang us," and set off instantly to run, which cowardly and imprudent course Annesley, who was quite unnerved, unhappily imitated, scarcely knowing what he did. They got to Reading's house, and Reading laid his hand on all the money he could, and fled the country. But Annesley would go no farther. He said, "I have slain an innocent man, and let me die for it." He sat a little while with his head in his hands, all of a heap, and then fell on to the floor in a fainting fit. There were 3 women in the house. They raised him, and just then the constables were seen coming with young Eaglestone. What did these wise women do but drag him upstairs and hide him in a sort of partition between 2 floors? And there the constables, who had sure information he was in the house, found him without any trouble. This hiding told heavily against him, both then and afterwards. In such terrible cases, courage is the better part of discretion. They found him in a state so deplorable that they set him in a chair in the yard and sprinkled his face with water, and he was some time before he could command his limbs and walk with them to the justice. A number of people followed the officers, and when they came upon the bridge, James stopped and said, "Have I no friends here?" Then there was a cry of "Ay!" for indeed he was already respected in that part. "Then," said he, "I do implore you to throw me over the bridge and end me, for I have slain an innocent man, and I shall never more know peace." The justice sent them to Sir Thomas Raynell, and he heard the evidence and committed him. They had 5 miles to go, and all drank together on the road, and things were said over the liquor that afterwards affected the case. As for James Annesley, he fell now into a dull resignation, and his regret was greater than his fear, except for Philippa. He gave one William Duffel a crown piece to go to Philippa, and begged her not to believe one word she should hear except from his own lips. "Speak comfortably to her, good William, or this will kill her too." And then, for the first time, he began to cry and bemoan himself. Duffel, is it Duffel? Duffel sped on his errand, but others had been before him. Remorseless rumor came open-mouthed to Mr. Chester's house and told Philippa James Annesley had murdered a man. She was white as a sheet in a moment and trembled, but her faith supported her. "'Tis false," said she, but tongue followed tongue, and as the vulgar always exaggerate and add a crop of lies well engrafted into the little bit of truth, and threats and oaths were said to have preceded the firing of the gun. Even Philippa's faith was giving way under repeated attacks when Duffel came in with that comfortable message. She cried out, as if he could hear her, "Believe thee a wilful murderer? That I never will. Unfortunate thou always wast, but guilty never." Then she said she would go to him on the instant. "Where is he?" "In the cage at Hounslow." She was with him in less than an hour, and with the two pale faces close together, he told her how it had happened. She believed him, she consoled him, she treated it as a simple misfortune, for which she must grieve but could never be punished, and she left him greatly encouraged. But her words were bolder than her heart, and when she reached home, the great restraint she had put upon herself for love of him gave way. Her body overpowered her great spirit, and she had faintings one after another that laid her low. Though prostrated herself, this noble girl dictated words of comfort to her unfortunate lover every day, and Thomas Chester carried them. Mr. Chester exerted himself to bail James Annesley and appeared likely to succeed when suddenly one Gifford, a London solicitor, appeared for young Eaglestone, and objected with such ability and weight that Sir Thomas Raynell said he must consider the matter and take advice. Then Mr. Chester saw that Annesley was to be prosecuted vindictively, and he conceived some grave suspicions and began sadly to fear the final result of this unhappy business. What I have now to relate will show the reader that his suspicions were well founded. And that's the end of chapter 8. Goodbye, Ruff. Goodbye.